So we're going to talk briefly about the supplies that you will need to gather in order to be prepared for the Linden Shorts Denim Sew-Along. First, we'll discuss fabric. The denim fabric that is in stock now at SSE, they are all perfect for this project. The shorts that you see here are denim C. This is the lower stretch percentage denim that only has 10% stretch. This is a scrap of the original color of the denim, and you can see how altered it was after I bleached and distressed it. The second pair here is denim A, and this denim has 25% stretch. So they are very stretchy and comfy. Both are comfortable and soft, but this pair is really stretchy. You can see originally the color. It's not quite as stark of a difference, but I did lightly bleach these shorts. I have read that you're not supposed to bleach denim with a higher stretch percentage, but I have been wearing these in heavy rotation for weeks, and they have not been compromised in any way in recovery or in structural integrity. So I feel pretty confident in recommending lightly bleaching this denim. Now, the hardware that we will be using, I picked up all of my hardware at Joann's, and I'll show you that now. You will need a jean zipper. This is specifically labeled jean, and it needs to be 7 inches or longer. My zippers were all longer than 7 inches, and I will show you how I trimmed those down to fit. You do need for it to be a metal tooth or teeth zipper. This says brass jean zipper. And then my rivets and buttons, I picked all of these up at Joann's. I have 2 colorways. I have a brass colorway and a silver. And it's just personal preference. I liked this silver with my white top stitching on my heavily distressed pair, and my darker pair I used the brass rivets and brass button. For the rivets, you will need the double cap rivet tool in order to set them on. This was a little bit of an investment for me. I used a coupon. I think originally it was around 15. So I used a 40% off coupon on that, but you will use the tool again and again as you add rivets to different items. The rivets are not absolutely necessary. They do add a nice professional finish, but if you are unable to source the rivets, then you can simply leave them off, or you could even add them at a later date once your project is completed. You will, however, need a zipper and a jean button. The jean button does not require a special tool for application. It is simply 2 pieces, the button and the screw. You will simply need a hammer to apply the button. One tool that can be beneficial when you are applying the rivets is an awl, AWL. I do not have one. It is simply a sharp piece of metal, a little metal stick that puts a hole in the denim for you. I will be showing you how I use a hammer and a nail. It's a little bit less refined perhaps, but it worked well for me, and so that is the method that I will be showing you. Another supply that you will need to have on hand is a woven medium weight interfacing. This is a Pellin brand. I'm not entirely sure what the weight is. Just any medium weight interfacing. You don't want it to have stretch. This interfacing will be applied to the interior of your waistband, which is very important not to omit that step because you are using a stretch fabric. It will also be applied in several smaller areas throughout the project. I usually pick up at least a half a yard in order to be prepared for 1 pair of shorts. So have your medium weight interfacing on hand. The rest of the supplies that you will need, wash away wonder tape is a tool that I will use throughout the tutorial. It is possible to construct the shorts without wash away wonder tape, but if you wish to employ the methods that I'm going to show you, I recommend that you do have it. I use it so liberally that in order for it to be economical for me, I purchase it in bulk packages on Amazon. I get this package with 2 of these huge rolls for maybe $6. So this lasts me a long time and it stays fresh because it's zipped up. You will need jean needles. These are Schmetz brand jean denim needles, and I use this for both construction and top stitching. I did not use a separate top stitching needle. You will need a zipper foot in addition to your standard sewing machine foot. I will use primarily my standard sewing machine throughout the tutorial. The only time I use my serger is to finish off the raw edge of the fabric, and it is not necessary for you to have a serger. You can finish off the raw edge with a zigzag stitch. Most of the construction is done on my sewing machine. All of the top stitching I performed with my standard sewing machine and my standard jean needle, and so you don't need any special equipment in order to construct these. So let's talk for a minute about top stitching. I did pick up jean top stitching thread. This is the standard gold color that is popular with denim. I also picked up white that I used on my heavily distressed pair, and it's just personal preference. I like to also pick up a roll of standard thread, just standard polyester thread in a color that matches your top stitching thread. I'll go over top stitching tips with you and troubleshooting, but top stitching can be a little bit finicky, your top stitching thread. It's very thick, and sometimes your machine is a little finicky with it. And it's nice to have a matching standard thread on hand to use in instances where it's a little bit easier than using your top stitching thread. We'll talk more about that later. It's not absolutely necessary to have a matching standard thread, but I do recommend it. And clips, I use clips rather than pins. You're welcome to use pins, but you will see me use clips throughout the tutorial. You will need a measuring tool. I use my seam gauge frequently. I find it very helpful, but a standard ruler or tape measure will suffice. And I shortened my zipper in the tutorial, and for that I used a pair of pliers. When I distress, I use sandpaper. So if you plan on distressing and following the distressing tutorial, you will need sandpaper. This is just a standard sheet that I use for my hand sander, and it is a medium grade grit. This block I have found to be more useful or more easier to use than my flat sandpaper. This one, it kind of digs at your fingers a little bit when you're trying to distress the denim. If you have access to a block, and I picked this up at Walmart, it makes the distressing process just a little bit more comfortable on your hands. I also used bleach, and I used concentrated bleach, which will be the ratio that I will be sharing with you in the tutorial. If you have standard bleach, it will work fine. It may just be a slightly different ratio, and you'll need to play around with that a little bit. So I hope that going over these supplies helps you feel more prepared to jump into our sew along next week, and I'm so excited to do that.